All right, Free Radicals, my name is Dave, and this is The Radical Independent. Thanks for watching. Please keep subscribing. Don't unfriend me on YouTube, please, if you can. I know, look, folks, I'm going to tell it like it is. I don't like to tell it like it is sometimes when it's against me. Keep in mind you're looking at, I think, the only YouTube personality, if you want to call me that, who has devoted literally an entire year of content to Tulsi Gabbard. All right? I'm going to also say this. I never really got in the inner circle of this campaign. I think I wanted to have maybe a little relationship with somebody over there. I reached out. I never got an answer back as to why I was not somebody who they'd want to talk to. I'm not saying I have the biggest platform or the best platform, but I would have done an interview or would have had a conversation back and forth with Tulsi, and it would have been cool based on the amount of effort I've put into this. And saying and shouting from the rooftops, and even initially, this channel was called Save America, Vote Tulsi Gabbard. You know, I don't know. I changed it because I didn't want to just talk about... I knew that eventually I'd have to make the channel about something else. If Tulsi became the president, I could have said, hey, this is the Tulsi Gabbard Presidential Network or something. But, you know, I had aspirations to talk about some other topics. But for the most part, people came here because they wanted to hear about Tulsi. And so I kept delivering on that content. I knew what the audience wanted. There were days where I said, okay, what am I going to talk about today? Tulsi was always in the news because the media hated her and they continued to write articles and do interviews with her that were hostile and so forth. So that gave me quite a bit of material. But over the last couple of weeks, you know, I'm getting messages, well, so-and-so, who's really connected with Tulsi, who's on the ground in New Hampshire, and who's got a YouTube channel just like you, but is way more popular, he says that Tulsi's going to overperform in New Hampshire. So stay the course, Dave. Stop being negative, Dave. That didn't work out now, did it? And I continued to basically tell it like it is. I went over to Rockfin. I did a video saying that I thought Mayor Pete was going to win the New Hampshire primary. Now, technically, he did not win the New Hampshire primary. And this is a lot of progressives today are going to be like, Bernie won, Bernie's awesome, Bernie won, Bernie's got the mojo, Bernie's doing this. Mayor Pete, I think, which is just these numbers alone, the fact that Pete is only a couple thousand, I don't know how many, but he's within a couple of percentage points when it comes to the popular vote with Bernie. He's coming out of New Hampshire, though, with the same amount of delegates. Just like Iowa. Just like Iowa. So Mayor Pete is really the Hillary Clinton of this cycle. Now, the other news story, I think, is that Amy Klobuchar had the Klobusurge. That's Kyle Kalinske. I heard him say it the other day, and I thought it was kind of cool. So I stole it. The Klobusurge happened where there should have been a Gabasurge. All right? If Tulsi last night had done as well as Amy Klobuchar, I would have said game on. Game on. We just keep rolling to South Carolina and game on. But here's what's happening. So Hawaii Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard didn't even wait Tuesday for the primary results to come in before boarding a plane for South Carolina to continue her presidential campaign. That's somebody who knows, who has internal numbers or understands what's happening and decides not to stick around. In New Hampshire, the first primary in the nation, Gabbard received about 3% of the vote, finishing 7th in a field of Democrats who want to oust President Trump from the White House this fall. That ranked her behind the eventual winner, Bernie Sanders. Again, same amount of delegates as Mayor Pete, and then Amy Klobuchar. Others ahead of Gabbard included Senator Elizabeth Warren and Joe Biden and Tom Steyer, Okay? No surprises there other than the Klobuchar. As the results rolled in and 2 other poorly performing candidates dropped out, can you believe this one? Entrepreneur Andrew Yang, the Yang Gang, Mr. UBI, has folded up shop, along with Senator Michael Bennet, who a lot of folks probably didn't realize was still in the race. Gabbard tried to strike a defiant tone with her supporters. No matter what happens here tonight, I want you to know that we have already been victorious. Here's my take. And again, I love Tulsi Gabbard. There's nobody who has done more as far as content on behalf of Tulsi Gabbard. All right, I don't know of anybody. Maybe, there are a lot of these creators that do 4 or 5 videos a day. I have children and other responsibilities, so I don't do 4 or 5 videos a day. I do 1 or 2, and then I do a couple for my other channel, depending on what's going on over there. This, to me, is a political statement. And Tulsi typically doesn't speak in political ease. No matter what happens here tonight, I want you to know that we have already been victorious. Have we? Let's just break this down. I love Tulsi, but I also love the truth. We know that the establishment hated her when she stepped down in 2016 and went to endorse Bernie Sanders. That was political suicide for her, at least on a national scale. She's been able to, continue to win re-election over in Hawaii, but has decided that she's not going to run again, which I think is a really great thing, so she could focus on her presidential campaign. All of the things that she did, I think, were in line with somebody who really was in it to win it. It's terrific. But we haven't been victorious because the party she's running in is corrupt. If Bernie Sanders somehow wins this nomination, there's a good chance that they'll try to sabotage him running against Trump. Because they know Trump, look, do they hate Trump? Yeah. But they can fundraise off of Donald Trump. They don't want the middle class really succeeding, because then, they'll have nothing to kind of war against every day. If people like their life, if they enjoy, that they're prosperous, or they've got health care, or some of their debts have been forgiven and so forth. Again, it's the same notion that if Tulsi became president, she would try to bring people together and unite the country and give speeches that weren't designed, for the tribalists, and she wouldn't be throwing out wedge issues. She'd try to understand everybody and where they're coming from. Very different from what we have on the neoliberal left and also on the neoconservative right. Very different. So, Tulsi, to me, makes this statement, and I don't know how, I'm reading it, and I'm wondering how victorious are we? Because issues were raised? Look, these issues were raised by Ron Paul, and he got laughed out of town too. Probably worse than Tulsi. He went up against his own party establishment. Same thing happened to him. Tulsi Gabbard's a lot younger, and she's got, I think better political instincts than Dr. Paul, and I think she would appeal to a much broader coalition of both Green Party folks and libertarians, and she shouldn't be in the Democratic Party. That's my conclusion. Building a new movement should have started, at ground zero in 2017. Should have been like, okay, I'm stepping down. I will serve out my term as Congresswoman, and then I'm going to run as a third-party candidate. I'm going to build a political movement, and then others can come in behind me, and we can start something new. And then the people will say, well, that's impossible. Well, that's no less impossible than what she's trying to do here. What happened to her? 3%. That's what happened to her. 3% in a state that was designed for somebody like Tulsi Gabbard, designed for somebody a little bit like Andrew Yang too, and they both were beaten by the neoliberal establishment and a guy who might be kind of independent, progressive, but we're not sure. We'll find out when push comes to shove. The problem with Bernie Sanders is, he gave a speech last night, and I watched it, and he says, anybody would be better than Trump, and I'm thinking, again? Again? No, that's not true. I know the neolibs want you to say that, but that's not true. Not everybody would be better. Mayor Pete would not be better than Donald Trump. And if you think so, you're just into tribalism or identity politics. You really don't care about the war machine. You really don't care about financial institutions screwing you. That's BS. Not everyone is better than Trump. And guess what? I'm not saying I'll vote for Trump again, because I'm done voting for Trump, but I'd be more than happy to vote for a third party and not vote for the two establishment candidates. I have every right not to be sucked into this duopoly thing again. If they put Bernie up, if Bernie somehow manages to overcome, and this is the other issue too, that Bernie has to do so well that he overwhelms their cheating. All right, Tulsi, she couldn't do that. There's no way. Tulsi did not have the infrastructure in place. And I know it sounds like I'm speaking in the past tense about Tulsi, but seriously, where does she go from here? She's going to South Carolina. Okay, it's she could do okay in South Carolina, but okay and no delegates is going to give you no clout. It's not going to allow you to have any kind of a voice at the convention. Do you think the Democrats are going to let Tulsi Gabbard speak at their nominating convention after what she did in 2016? Don't think so. They've already got John Podesta there, so I don't think that's going to work out. Folks, it's rigged. It's rigged. It's rigged. It's rigged. It's rigged. Bernie is in a position to maybe overcome some of the rigging because he's placating. He's saying, yes, Donald Trump's the worst, the most destructive, evil, but that's not the issue. Issues are the issue, Bernie. Stop talking about Trump, and if it's not me, us, start talking about us. Okay? Tulsi did that well. Tulsi probably had no chance at this from the get-go because of where she was coming from and who she was. She's too independent. She's too green or libertarian, okay? She's not, this isn't the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party likes to talk about these issues, these so-called progressive issues. And then what's your solution to, healthcare? Well, better version of Obamacare. That'll work. No, it won't. It's Medicare for all or bust, kind of. It's not, otherwise it's not going to work. I mean, people won't go broke if you have Medicare for all. That's how it's supposed to work. I mean, you're giving out money to military contractors and tax breaks to giant corporations, and the military budgets continue to just get bigger and bigger. And supposedly, Bernie is a socialist, and, if you dig down, maybe Tulsi is too. But they're not. They just want all of that funding to be channeled to people who really need it rather than people who don't need it. We're propping up the wrong groups, and the rich people benefit from all of this propping, and then there are people who are enslaved into poverty and into just barely getting by and being stressed out every day about if they're going to make it through. Look, Tulsi, she appealed to a broad coalition of folks, but unfortunately those people aren't in the Democratic Party. Keep in mind, the closed primaries are going to be even worse for Tulsi if she continues on. Florida, where I live, closed primary. I am currently registered as a Democrat. Of course I'm going to vote for Tulsi Gabbard. I have to. Unless she drops out of the race, then there's no need for me to vote for her. I may still vote for her just as a way to say, look, she was awesome. I wish I could have helped her win, so here's the vote that I'm going to cast. Won't matter at that point, because my guess is a neoliberal candidate will win Florida. Florida, very neoliberal. Joe Biden was way out in front of Sanders. I bet you now Mayor Pete is probably pulled even with Sanders here in Florida. Bernie doesn't have a lot of infrastructure down here. He may be ceding the state to whoever is the neo-lib du jour. He'll get some delegates, but he won't get, the majority of delegates. And that's going to happen in other states too. They, again, they have to play strategy, political strategy. And, yeah. So, again, if you're a so-called progressive commentator and, you make all these predictions and, it's going to be better than you think and, just stay the course. And look, nobody paid me to do what I'm doing. YouTube paid me very modestly when they weren't demonetizing or throttling content downward. I was hoping that somebody from this campaign would have reached out to me eventually and said, hey, just a phone call would have been awesome. Just to talk with Tulsi, say, hey, I got your back. I love you. You're great. It would have given me a little encouragement. I don't have to meet anybody. I'm in Florida. Like I say, I'm a full-time dad. I hate to say the word homemaker, but I kind of am. And then YouTuber. So those are the things that I do. And believe me, it's time-consuming, especially when you have... Technically, I have 3 channels. I have 1 on Rockfin and 2 on YouTube. So I'm kind of a busy guy, and that's why I don't do 16 videos a day about one topic and then split it up, I guess my thought about the campaign was that it just would have been a nice gesture. It would have energized me. It would have given me a sense of purpose. I can't beg. I'm not going to beg people. A lot of people are saying, oh, you need to reach out to this and that and the other. I'm like, hey, if they want to use me, call me. I'm here. We can set it up. Didn't get a call. I'm not saying that's the reason why my content began to shift a little bit. I kind of started to see the handwriting on the wall a little bit. And it has way less to do with Tulsi Gabbard. And as I've been saying now for almost 12 months, it has more to do with the system, the structure. Again, the only way Bernie Sanders can win is if he overwhelms the system. And I don't know if he can do it. He right now, he's got the same amount of delegates. I think actually Mayor Pete might have 1 or 2 more delegates because of the coin tosses in Iowa. So that does that show you the system is fair? It's as rigged as hell. And Tulsi wasn't going to overwhelm that system, especially after what she did to Hillary. All that stuff, even though it's awesome and we're all cheering, oh man, it's like, I'm going to sue Hillary Clinton. They're all in the back room saying she's toast, she's done, she's not going anywhere. We will block her at every turn. And they did it. They did it. Will they do it to Bernie? They can do it to Bernie. There's this guy, Michael Bloomberg. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's got billions of dollars to play with, to influence this. He's going to all of these big states that are way more neoliberal, who want the professional-looking business entrepreneur who's supposedly gotten things done in New York City. They don't care about... Everyone says, oh, stop and frisk. They don't care about stop and frisk. You think that's going to... supposedly he's getting more African-American support. Head scratcher. They don't know. They just know that he's Michael Bloomberg and he'll get things done. And he's got lots of money, and I admire that. And he's going to use it for the right things, unlike Trump, who uses it for the wrong things. This whole election is screwed up. I could do, an hour-long talk about all the things that are screwed up about this election process. But, again, we need another way. Tulsi would be far better off to start something new. Just walk away from this. Don't invest any more money. By the way, all those contributions we gave to Tulsi Gabbard, right? I gave contributions up to like a couple of days ago. I'd love to see that money used to launch an independent bid for the presidency. Get it off the ground. Walk over and see if the Green Party will have you. All right? And my guess is they will. That would be the place to start. And yes, if you don't like their image or whatever it is you don't like about the Green Party, they are the vehicle for about 90% of Tulsi's platform. And I don't see why so many people are against that. I know it's rough. Lisa Savage, she's trying to run for Senate up in Maine. Just overwhelming the system to get signatures so you can get on the ballot. That may not even happen. She may not even get on the ballot. So, for all of you Tulsi supporters out there, you should kind of pivot and start to show some concern for other things. Because at this point, I don't think we can overwhelm the DNC. I'm almost sure of it. Not with Tulsi. Tulsi's not their candidate. Tulsi is their least favorite candidate. And they're showing us that they have contempt for us. And so, I don't know. There's not much else I can say about this. We'll see if Bernie can overwhelm this. I know there are a lot of progressives this morning that are smiling. By the way, all those progressives were Bernie, 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 Bernie all the time. And oh yeah, don't forget about Tulsi. But Bernie, 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 Bernie. And then they're on the ground with Tulsi. Or then they're somewhere doing a video with Tulsi and promoting Tulsi. But it's 90% of the time it's Bernie, Bernie, Bernie. And that, you know, you have the progressive media. And 90% of the time the progressive media is talking about Bernie. Not me. 90% of the time I was talking about Tulsi. So, yeah. Can't blame me for that one. All right, I know I'm sounding a little bitter today. It would have been nice, too, if the campaign had reached out to me in a real way. I'm doing free content for them. It's just weird that nobody ever reached out. But I know, people are busy. All right, I'm done. Please, if you can help me out. I know a lot of people are probably not going to help me out. Just stay subscribed. Watch the videos. That's all I can ask at this point. I'll be over on Rockfin later with more just wacky opinions and craziness and independence, because that's what I do. All right, see you all soon.